Welcome to back 1922 Humber 1818 car holds a special place. It wasn't just a car, it was a statement of reliability, comfort, and forward-thinking design in a time when the automobile was still defining itself. Welcome to Luxe Drive 07. Today, we are diving deep into a remarkable piece of motoring history, the 1922 Humber 1818. A car that captured the spirit of its time and gave middle-class British motorists a taste of luxury without extravagance. Stick around as we explore every inch of this beautiful machine, tell its story, and bring it roaring, well, gently humming, back to life. Let's go back to the early 1920s. The world was emerging from the shadows of World War I. Industries were rebuilding, and technology was evolving rapidly. The automobile industry was no exception. Car manufacturers were beginning to transition from producing wartime equipment back to civilian models. But the post-war economy was fragile, and the demand was shifting. People were looking for something reliable, economical, and modern, but not too flashy. This is where Humber made its mark. The company had already built a reputation for solid engineering and stylish design. Based in Coventry, Humber was one of Britain's longest established car manufacturers, with roots tracing back to the late 1800s. By the time the 1818 was introduced in 1922, Humber had already developed several successful models and was seen as a leader in middle-market cars. The 1818 was designed to be compact, affordable, and efficient, without compromising on the values that Humber stood for: quality, comfort, and class. Let's take a closer look at the technical heart of the car. Under the bonnet of the 1922 Humber 1818 lies a 985 cm 4-cylinder side valve engine. Now, by today's standards, that might seem modest. But back in 1922, this was more than adequate for everyday motoring. It produced around 18 horsepower, which gave the car a top speed of just under 50 miles per hour. But raw speed wasn't the goal here. The 1818 was built for smooth, reliable driving, ideal for the narrow, winding roads of 1920 Britain. One of the standout features of the Humber 1818 was its overhead worm drive rear axle. This might sound like a technical detail, but it was actually quite a big deal. It allowed for smoother power delivery and quieter operation, things that really mattered when most roads were still dirt or cobblestone. Drivers of the time appreciated how refined the Humber felt compared to some of its harsher rivals. The gearbox was a 3-speed manual, operated through a slender flow-mounted gear stick. And here's something fun for the vintage car lovers: there's no synchromesh. That means double clutching was a must for smooth gear changes. Driving one of these today isn't just a ride, it's a proper mechanical experience, a throwback to an era when you had to know your car and really drive it. Now, let's talk about design, because that's where the Humber 1818 really starts to shine. The bodywork was hand-built with a combination of steel and wood, wrapped in a flowing, elegant shape that oozed classic charm. The long bonnet, upright windshield, and gently curved fenders created a look that was both functional and beautiful. The example we're looking at today is a 4-seater tourer, complete with a folding canvas roof. The seating is laid out in the classic front and rear bench format, with plush leather upholstery and real wood trim throughout the cabin. Everything about this car whispers quality: no plastic, no shortcuts. Even the dashboard instruments are encased in brass or nickel, with elegant typography and delicate needles. And here's a detail you don't see often anymore: a fully functional hand-crank starter at the front. While some versions had electric starters, many drivers still relied on the old-fashioned crank. It's a feature that reminds you is just how far technology has come, but also how hands-on early motoring could be. Driving the Humber 1818 is a unique experience. There's a sense of occasion from the moment you open the door. The steering wheel is large and thin-rimmed, giving you a direct connection to the road. The pedals are arranged in what's known as the pre-standard layout, meaning they're not in the same order we're used to today. It takes a bit of practice and patience, but once you get the hang of it, there's a surprising rhythm to the way this car moves. The engine starts with a gentle thrum, and once you're rolling, there's a satisfying mechanical soundtrack that accompanies your drive. Not loud, not aggressive, just the calm tick-tick of an engine doing its job. Suspension is leaf-sprung all around, which means you feel the road, but it's not uncomfortable. There's a deliberate, stately feel to how the car handles corners and climbs hills. It's never in a rush, and neither should you be when driving it. But the Humber AT18 wasn't just a joy for the driver. Passengers, too, were treated to a surprisingly plush ride. The high seating position gave great visibility, and the spacious rear bench meant longer journeys were actually bearable, something that couldn't be said for all cars of the era. Over the years, the Humber AT18 evolved slightly, with improvements in trim and equipment. But it stayed true to its core values: affordable luxury, reliable engineering, and tasteful design. By the mid-2000s, Humber had cemented its position as a premium name for middle-class motorists, and the AT18 played a big part in that success. Now, let's talk rarity. How many of these are left today? The answer: not many. The Humber AT18 is a rare sight even at vintage car shows. Survivors have usually been lovingly restored by passionate collectors. And it's easy to see why. Restoring a Humber isn't just about bringing an old machine back to life, it's about preserving a piece of British history. Finding parts isn't always easy, and every restoration is a labor of love. From sourcing authentic gauges to hand-finishing wood trim, these cars demand attention to detail. But the end result? A car that turns heads not with flash or speed, but with timeless elegance and character. For collectors, the Humber AT18 represents more than just a vehicle. It's a window into a different era. An era where motoring was new and exciting, where journeys were measured in miles per hour and cups of tea along the way. Driving one today is a chance to connect with that past, to feel the world slow down just a little, and to remember a time when the road ahead was a promise of adventure. So what's the legacy of the 1922 Humber AT18? It may not have had the fame of a Bentley or the flair of a Bugatti, but in its own quiet way, it shaped the future of British motoring. It proved that luxury didn't have to mean excess, that good design could be both functional and beautiful, and that a well-made car could serve its owner faithfully for decades. Here at Luxe Drive 07, we're always searching for cars with soul. Cars that tell stories. And the Humber AT18? It's got plenty to say. From the soft creak of its leather seats to the rhythmic click of its gears, every detail is a reminder of a time when craftsmanship was king and driving was an art. We hope you've enjoyed this journey through time with the US. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss our next episode. We've got more vintage treasures coming your way, and we can't wait to share them with you. And remember, whether it's actual years old or just off the production line, every great car deserves a closer look. Thanks for riding with the US today on Luxe Drive 07. We'll see you next time. Let me know if you'd like me to tweak the tone, add voiceover cues, or adapt it for a short form version too.